Thank you all for joining us here at I-80 Sports, and ho, 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 it's time to figure out who made that naughty or nice list in the NHL. Thank you all for joining us here again at I-80 Sports. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Festivus for the rest of us. Make sure that you follow us at i80sports.com. Make sure you also follow us on Twitter below at i80_sports NHL. I've got my lofty goal of making it to 500 followers by the end of the year. We're currently sitting at 470. We're close, guys. We're this close. We can definitely do this. Just a little bit further of a push. If you haven't shared with your friends yet, please make sure you do. I'm Brian. He's Tom. Tom, how you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. We have, like I say, every week now. We're maybe out of those dog days now. Every week we're getting more news. Most of it's good. You know, we have a nice little path onto what will be an typical year, but still better than no year at all.
This is very, very true. And today, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to make this a fun episode for you guys. And we've got a tier list all set and ready to talk about our naughty and nice list, as I am going to be playing your Santa Claus for this upcoming year. Maybe a little bit short on the beard, but it's fine. We're going to be doing that in a little bit, but we need to dive into first a couple little news and notes around the league, because there has been a little bit of goings-ons around the NHL. Little by little things are happening. For instance, unless you're living under a rock, the League and the Players Association has agreed to a 56-game season. Division realignment for this season only. So we're going to have an all-Canadian team, which they're calling the North Division. We're going to have teams that are specifically on the farthest East Coast, then the middle of the country, and then the far West Coast teams that are going to be playing each other. There's still a little bit to work out in terms of where Canadian teams are going to play, if they're going to be allowed to play in Canada. But Tom, it looks like we're getting that much more closer to hockey, and January 13th can't come soon enough, right, bud?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I'm telling you, it's a great thing. Obviously going to be a little different this year, but I mean, a lot of people were talking about like back in the 80s when divisional play really ruled hockey. You know, those old Patrick and Norris division matchups, those old Battle of Alberta matchups, which you're going to see a hell of a lot more this year in the North or Canadian division, however you want to term it. You know, it's going to be a little hard. It's going to be, you know, harkening back to the 80s and early 90s divisional playoffs. And you know what? I'm really liking what they're doing with the semifinals. And this is what I wanted them to do initially when Atlanta moved to Winnipeg. I wanted them to scrap the East and the West, have 4 independent divisions, and then your 4 winners are seeded 1 through 4 to play for the Stanley Cup semifinals and the Cup. So you theoretically could have a Buffalo-Toronto, or everyone's favorite rivalry, Boston and Toronto Stanley Cup Finals this year. I really, really like that, and I'm hoping next year when they go back to the old way, that they scrap the East and the West, retire the Prince of Wales Trophy, retire the Clarence Campbell Bowl, and just do something like that.
It would be cool, and I think this is going to be a really fun twist on this year, and trying to make, you know, something out of nothing right now, if you will. And I think any hockey is better than no hockey, and you know, we're certainly hyped up for everything going on. But that being said, we did have a lot of information that dropped yesterday about the restart on January 13th, as well as other dates to keep in mind. These are details that we're going to go over more next week, because we wanted to focus a little bit more on a lighter subject this week and not get ourselves in this frenzy getting ready for the upcoming season. But we also wanted to let a little bit more information kind of come out, because I don't think we have the full details just yet on what this January 13th start date is going to look like, as well as where some of these other teams are going to be playing. So if you're curious about all the goings-ons with January 13th and the upcoming season and the upcoming shortened 56-game season, make sure you catch us next week for our next episode. We'll be diving headfirst into all of those details and catching you guys up right here on I-80 Sports. Now, to go over a couple more little news and notes around the league, we did have one particularly sad thing that did happen. Tom, I know you'll eulogize for a little bit about this one, and I will let you surely do so. Henrik Lundqvist, who is currently the goaltender for the Washington Capitals, announced that he will have to sit out this season with a heart condition that may even require surgery. Tom, this very well could be the end of Henrik Lundqvist's career in the NHL. What are your thoughts on this news?
Unfortunately, I think that it is the end of his career. It's really sad it went out this way, really sad that, he tried to go to DC, tried to make a go of it, and to have this setback. I have a hard time, even if he does make a full recovery, which I fully expect that he will, but I really have a hard time of anyone taking a flyer on who's going to be a 40-year-old goalie next year, if I'm not mistaken, who has been in decline sort of for the last few years. And the same thing happened, in that first year after the lockout with Mario Lemieux. I remember there was a lot of hype with Pittsburgh that year with Lemieux and Crosby and Leclerc and Recchi and Palffy and so on and so forth. And Lemieux had that same problem, had to retire, in December of that year for the same reason. It's really sad. I was hoping that we could have at least last year, maybe had a send-off for Lundqvist at the Garden. COVID hit. He looked, I have to admit, he looked good in that preseason game in the bubble. He looked good in game 1 in the bubble. Game 2, he didn't look as good, but it's just really a shame. He's going to retire with no cup. He's going to go out, instead of going out, with bells and whistles, he's just going to go out quietly. And, I know Bob has said make it PG-13 with this. So, I can go into the years Torts was coaching and how those teams maybe should have won 1 or 2 and didn't. Bob says to make it PG-13, and if I go any further into it, it is most definitely not going to be PG-13 because it's going to involve somebody who I'm going to mention a little later on.
Yeah, this is very true, and it's really unfortunate because me being an unapologetic Devils fan, I was always a quick detractor of Henrik Lundqvist and his legacy, and it is unfortunate given the fact that he was such an outstanding goaltender for the longest time, that his career might end like this, that he doesn't get one more shot to try to get a Stanley Cup, the one trophy that has eluded him. And it's unfortunate, but, I also think for Henrik Lundqvist, besides not winning a Stanley Cup, nothing to hang your hat on because, that's a Hall of Fame career, and he will rightfully take his place in the Hall of Fame. He will rightfully have his number in the rafters in Madison Square Garden someday. And I think that is one thing that he does not need to lose sleep over whatsoever. His legacy, as a New York Ranger, will always be there. And he will always kind of hold that title as one of the absolute best of all time in a long lineage of great New York Rangers goaltenders. So, from I-80 Sports to Henrik Lundqvist, if this is it, congratulations. And we're sorry that it happened on such terrible terms, and we hope you get better soon. Speed round real quick before we dive into our Santa's naughty and nice list. I'm going to give you a couple quick hits, and then we'll talk about maybe one that might be the most important. We'll see which one is the most important of these little news and notes. Anthony Duclair has signed a 1-year deal with the Florida Panthers. The AAV looks like it is $1.7 million for that 1 year. St. Louis Blues forward Alexander Steen announces his retirement due to a back injury. And lastly, Ilya Kovalchuk's NHL career seems to be over as he has reportedly signed with Avangard Omsk in the KHL. Tom, which news kind of stands out the most to you here?
The Kovalchuk one does a little bit, but you want to know what? This isn't the first time he's gone back to Russia, and I don't know if his NHL career may be over. These guys go and come all the time. You never know. A year from now or at the deadline, we could be talking about somebody taking a flyer on him. You never know. As far as Duclair is concerned, I really think that this is his last chance to prove himself. For a guy that was a Ranger fan, for a guy that was so highly touted and didn't really deliver in New York, they traded him out to Arizona. Everybody cried wolf about that trade. He put up 20 goals and then boom, poof, disappeared. Wound up in the minors the next year. Stops in Chicago, Columbus, and Ottawa. Chicago and Columbus were duds. Last year in Ottawa, he had the 23 goals. But the thing with Duclair is that he seems to have a big year and then he just disappears for a while. And I really, really think that if things go south in Florida this year, he's already as far south as he can go. I really don't see him coming back from this. I really don't. And it's been a criticism of the Quebec Major Junior League for a while, is that it's pretty much air hockey out there. It's arcade hockey. It's like when you used to play Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey and Nintendo 64 in the 90s when you were a kid. If anyone gets that analogy, congratulations. But that's the kind of hockey that was played in Quebec, and I think that's also why his stats were so inflated because, you know, a third liner in that league could score 30 goals with his hands tied behind his back. So yeah. I think this is it for him.
Yeah, I think this might be one of his final chances, and hopefully the straw that broke the camel's back is not that he decided to represent himself in free agency, because not for nothing, he was one of the bigger free agents when free agency did open up. And a lot of people can argue that, well, you know, you want to see where the league goes. You want to see where, you know, everything going on with the world goes. You know, I understand all that. And I understand, you know, those people that are going to push up, you know, their glasses and say, well, actually, I get it. But at the same time, it also doesn't take away from the fact that Anthony Duclair has been a divisive player in the NHL inside the locker room and outside of the locker room. And hopefully this is where he gets it right. I think he's got a good cast of characters around him in Florida. So it's all left to be seen. And Alexander Steen, just like I said for Henrik Lundqvist above, sorry that your career has to end on such, you know, terrible terms. But you won a Stanley Cup. At least you got that. That's a good thing, right? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So now we are going to move on. Speaking of Stanley Cups, because sometimes that could be a really nice, shiny present underneath your Christmas tree, which today I will be playing Your Santa Claus, and we are going to be talking about who's on the naughty list, who's on the nice list, who was a good team this year, who was a bad team this year. Doesn't necessarily have to do with league standing. It more so has to do with a team and organization's actions over these past year, as well as we might even sprinkle in a couple teams here and there. But I also thought it would be a little bit more interesting if we were to do a little tier list for this. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be filling this out with you while we do this, one of these nifty little tier lists. Also keep us on track for who we're going to be looking at, and we are going to go in alphabetical order. So to start us off with our naughty or nice list. So obviously nice is in green, naughty is in red. We are starting with the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm leaning towards the nice list here. Tom, what are you leaning towards?
You know what? I'm agreeing with you on that one. I mean, they really haven't done anything terrible. They've had some good drafts. They have Zegras in the system. You know, they have a nice prospect pool out there in Anaheim. It's just really a matter of them putting it all together. But, you know, you can't put it all together when nobody's really played yet. So, you know what? I'm definitely going with the I'm putting them on that nice list.
Yeah, I'm sticking them on that nice list too, because you know what? They're doing things right over there. Yes, things haven't been shaking out exactly their way, but you know what? They're getting things right over there, and I like that prospect pool. That prospect pool alone, that's your present for this year. Go have fun with Jamie Drysdale, and go have fun, you know, with brand new Trevor Zegras. All right, the Arizona Coyotes. So I think we're in consensus here. They are definitely getting a big fat lump of coal this year. So to me, they're getting that big fat lump of coal because, I mean, you look up and down what has happened to this organization in a calendar year. Oh, my goodness. You know, first you botch the whole entire time Taylor Hall was here. Then your organization goes and, like, depletes their entire prospect pool and then brings in a prospect that, oops, he kind of bullied somebody. Oh, that's a bad call there. And you're left with a lot of uncertainty. Tom, do you agree?
You know what? I do agree. I mean, as somebody who was a Ranger fan in the early 2000s, where you would see a dumpster fire of a team every April and this, that, and the other thing happening, that actually made that what happened with them this year kind of actually makes that look good. Yeah, they're on the naughty list, no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's no coming back. Maybe next year you'll get a nice present, Arizona, but right now you've got to write Santa a big apology letter, which, fun fact, when I was a kid, I was actually that kid that always started off his letters to Santa Claus with an apology for my actions in the previous year, which maybe Arizona should consider. So now moving on to Boston, and I'm kind of on the fence here, Tom. What do you think? Because a part of me thinks the naughty list, but talk me off the ledge on this one.
You know what? I know that there was some mistreatment of Tuukka Rask by the fans, but you know what? if I was a fan of the Bruins, I'd be very upset with what he did. This team had a chance to win had more than enough chance to win the cup with him in net. You know, we had it done against St. Louis last year. And now this year they came in as President's Trophy winners. And for him to come into Toronto and, forgive my French, and half-ass it, and then just say, oh, I don't want to do it anymore, while you have other teams out there giving their all, I think they got every right to be upset with him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I understand that his daughter was sick, but you want to know what? Then say your daughter is sick before the hub starts. Let your teammates know. Let your coach know. Let your general manager know that you can't make it up there, and other arrangements can be made. Don't go up there half-heartedly and leave halfway through. Yeah. I don't really know. I don't know where to put Boston here. I mean, I guess you can put them on the naughty list just for the fact that Brad Marchand is still playing for their team, and and the fact that Torrey Krug kind of just walked out on him. But I can't say that because of Rask. What Rask did wasn't very nice. But the way Marchand acts, and I guess maybe how they handled the Krug negotiations, I guess, yeah, you put them on the naughty list. But man, I don't know. They're teetering there. You know what I'm saying?
There's only one statement that stuck with me in what you said, and I agree wholeheartedly. And this is why they might be getting cold, not just this year, but every year. Brad Marchand, naughty list. All right, there we go. Buffalo. So this is a quick little shout out, because if you didn't check it out last week, we were on the Frozen Four podcast. Shout out to you guys, because you guys were awesome for hosting us last week. You guys are going to be happy with this one, and I think we got a general consensus here. They're on the nice list this year for the first time in, I think, probably a couple of years here. My justification here is you got a shiny, brand new Taylor Hall under your tree, and you actually look like that you're gonna be a playoff team this year. You went out and actually did stuff in this offseason to actually make yourselves a really, really decent team. Tom?
Yeah, they got the nice shiny Taylor Hall, and then I'm sure everybody knows what this is. Everybody knows the term re-gift. When somebody has something that they didn't really use and they give it to you. So they got a re-gift of Eric Staal as well.
Yeah.
So I'm putting them on the nice list.
Yeah, they're going on a nice list. And once again, shout out to the Frozen Four podcast. You guys were awesome last week. Thanks for hosting us. And we'll definitely be working with you guys soon. And you guys should all the audience out there, you guys should be excited for when we do collaborate with them for a video in the upcoming future. Calgary. I'm gonna go out and say it. I say the nice list. You guys have been through enough between the pipes for the past number of years, at goaltender. Here's a shiny new Jacob Markstrom for you guys to play with. Now, don't go and break him now. Don't just ease him in. But Tom, what do you think?
You know what? I got to agree. They had themselves. I mean, they didn't have the year that they had last year when they were on top of the West. But you know what, man? They had a decent playoff. They gave Dallas a little bit of a scare there. Yeah, I mean, I gotta give them the nice list. Outside of that Game 6 against Dallas, but other than that, yeah, I gotta put them on the nice list. And like I said, they got the shiny new Jacob Markstrom in net.
Yes, they do. And like I said, don't play with him until he breaks now, because that's what you did with your last goaltenders. Don't forget that. Santa doesn't forget. Next, Carolina, and this was kind of tough because it's they really haven't done a lot. But at the same time, they also didn't do anything bad. So, because storm surges are fun, I'm saying the nice list. Tom, do you agree?
Well, I should say the naughty list, because the Ranger fan in me should say, well, they knocked Jesper Fast out of the playoff. But now Jesper Fast is wearing their jersey. So that sort of cancels it out. So I guess the nice list, I don't really have I don't really have a reason not to like him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, and that's going to be kind of an underlying theme with a couple of teams that are on the nice list here, because it's just we couldn't find necessarily a bad thing to say about you, so good on you. But that's where the niceness ends, because we're moving on to Chicago here, Tom. And I don't know about you, but I'm a naughty list. And my reason why is just a really bad start to a rebuild and not being fully transparent with your core and your fans. I honestly think that gets him a lump of coal this year, though I got to admit it's a nice present to have now captain of Team Canada for the World Juniors, Kirby Dach, on your team. So do you agree with me there?
Yeah, I'd say they're on the naughty list now. If none of this happened, and if it was Christmas in August when they had knocked Edmonton out, I would say the nice list, because man, that was a nice little resurgence. But unfortunately, I think that little play-in victory against Edmonton was kind of the last hurrah for that 1-3 Cubs. I got to put them on the naughty list. It's just the things are going out of control there. Taves is not happy. Kane hasn't said anything yet, but it just doesn't seem, things just don't seem to be right over there right now. So yeah, naughty list.
Things don't seem to be very jelly over there. And actually, speaking of jelly, I'm going to make a National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation pun here, because it's the Chicago Blackhawks. Literally under their tree this year, they didn't get their Christmas bonus. They got the 1 month subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. So there you go. That's the gift that keeps on giving all year long. Now back to the nice list, which what bad thing can you say about Colorado? Holy moly, all the presents they're getting this year. I mean, we can have an entire list of their nice list for this upcoming year. Tom, help me out with this one.
I can't disagree.
Yeah.
I can't disagree. They are stacked beyond belief. They have a nice core in place already. They got a good depth defenseman from the Islanders and Taves. They have Newhook and Byram playing for Canada in this World Junior Championship. And Newhook was already dazzling last year at BC. Newhook and Byram could very well be heading over to Colorado once this is all done. If somebody says they're not on a nice list, I really need a good explanation why.
Yeah, they're the nice list. There's just no two ways about it. They're the nice list, and they're also a Stanley Cup favorite. So you know what? You made Santa very, very happy this year, and I hope that you make Santa happy this upcoming year, or else Santa's putting you on the naughty list next year. All right, so anyway, moving on. Back to the naughty list, by the way. Columbus, welcome to the naughty list. Oh, how I might count the reasons why the naughty list. Well, first of all, let's look at who's your head coach. The ever so politically correct, the ever so nice John Tortorella. So that automatically gets you on the naughty list because, well, when you leave the fire going in the chimney, Santa's going to be pretty pissed. That's number one. But then number two, you also traded away like a ton of your players for what? That's right, nothing. Right, exactly. You traded away everybody for almost nothing. So, Tom, do you agree?
Agree wholeheartedly. Just because Tortorella's their coach, that just puts them on the naughty list. It just does.
Tortorella is definitely the guy that would have given Santa expired milk without even looking at the label. That's John Tortorella, and I'm not.
Tortorella would have chased after him with a pitchfork or something.
Yeah, just oh my god, quality human being right there. We're gonna stick to the naughty list for a little bit, and we couldn't look. Realistically, Dallas should be on the nice list. They should be because they made the Stanley Cup this year. But then you want to know what they did, Tom? You want to know what they did?
I know what they did.
Tell me what they did.
They decided to cut up a can of Monster Energy, impose it onto a jersey, and wear it.
Exactly. So that way kids named Kyle could have a great Christmas. Yeah, except all of us, everybody else is looking at that just I don't know. I'm still very much on the opposite side of the spectrum with that jersey. I don't see what people like in it. It's too neon. It's too green. It's too Monster Energy. It looks like it should be in the X Games. It literally looks like it should be in the X Games. Moving on to Detroit, and we're actually moving back to the nice list here. You guys are actually getting it right. I mean, you're not going to be a good team this year, but you know what? Santa's really happy with what you guys have been doing. Santa's really, really happy. And, you've got a couple shiny new toys coming on the way with Lucas Raymond and Philip Zadina and Moritz Seider. So here's a couple new shiny toys to play with. And here's an old refurbished Bobby Ryan as well. We got him from, look, we looked in the clearance section. We're not going to lie. We looked in the bargain bin. We got him for you. Just enjoy him, okay? And Mark Stahl too. But it was a buy two, get two free. It's fine. Tom, do you agree?
You know what? I'm actually disagreeing on this one just because last year, I think Yzerman purposely put a bad team on the ice last year, not even in the hopes of getting Lafreniere, but in the hopes of getting Tim Stützle, thinking that if I tank, I know I probably can't get the #1 overall, but I know if I tank enough, I could probably finish in the top 3. And, well, look what happened. So,
yeah, but admittedly, you still got to be happy with that prospect pool and everything that they got going on.
That's true, too, and now I think their eyes are on 2022, as I've mentioned in previous episodes.
It could be. So now we move on to another team, the Edmonton Oilers, and this one, I got to admit, this one was tough. This one I left to Tom because, like, I didn't know necessarily what to think. They're, like, in that, like, weird middle area. And, Tom, I'm going to let you give your justification for this one. Where do they end up?
You know what? I still put them on the naughty list. For as much as McDavid and Draisaitl do for that team, and they tear it up, and, you know, last year they finally tore it up in the regular season after, 2 years of futility, and then they just go into the playoffs and lay an egg.
Yeah.
They go into the playoffs and lay an egg. They're trying to win track meets like it's 1984 and you have Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry on your first line. They just they keep taking advantage of the lottery. They keep taking advantage of drafting young kids, and they just keep screwing it up. They keep screwing it up. They're like that kid in the school who says their dad owns a sporting goods store or their uncle's the CEO for Toys R Us or whatever, and they're getting 90 million things under the tree. And then you drive by their house on Christmas and, the kids drinking out of a carton of milk in the kitchen while the parents and other family are nowhere to be found.
Yeah, meanwhile, that kid's been sick with the flu. So there you go. Now, Florida, and I'm going to agree with you on the Oilers. I completely agree where you're coming from wholeheartedly. Now, Florida. Now, I couldn't help but laugh at that. I couldn't help but laugh at this one. Tom, I want you to give your justification for this one, please, for the viewers at home.
If you've ever seen the scene in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation where Cousin Eddie's daughter comes in and Clark Griswold is having that fantasy about having that big pool in his backyard, and she comes out and she thinks he's Santa Claus and he's not, and every year she says, you know what, me and my brother have been nothing but good and we get squat. Well, unfortunately, Florida has actually built up of, they had a fairly good lineup this year. They just ran into the Islanders, They have, they have a good goalie in Bobrovsky. They have another good one coming up in night, but it just seems like no matter what Florida does, nobody seems to care. They could be the best Samaritan in the world, and they're still going to be the ones waking up on Christmas and finding nothing under the trees. It's sad, but it's just, they've tried everything down there, and nothing seems to work.
And it's funny. I mean, to quote Eric Andre on this one, why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? It's so true, though. They're the naughty list. I mean, that and Radko Gudas. I cannot get around that. Like, Radko Gudas is a lump of coal in and of himself. Like, he moves like a lump of coal. Anyway, moving back to another team, the Los Angeles Kings, who, we got no bad words to say about the Kings right now. They're on the nice list. They had a good draft. They've got probably one of the best prospect pools in the NHL, which if you want to know a little bit more about the LA Kings and their prospect pool, go up and check out Jack Dawkins on the Hockey Writers. He has all the up and up on them as well. Tom, do you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly. A good draft. They got a good draft. They got a good pool of prospects. You're still going to have Kopitar around for a few more years. Yeah, I got to put them on the nice list, until they give me a reason not to.
Yeah. Moving on to Minnesota, which once again, no bad words. They're on the nice list. And I didn't mean to put them there. There we go. We might reorder this later, but we'll see. But yeah, they're on the nice list. I mean, here's a nice brand new shiny Marco Rossi that, hey, Buffalo, I mean, you're on the nice list, but you still managed to draft Jack Quinn over Marco Rossi. I'm not going to let that go. You're on the nice list, though. We'll keep you there. But Minnesota's on the nice list specifically because of that. And also, what else, Tom?
You know what? They were able to get, they were able to get rid of Mikko Koivu. They were able to push out some older guys. They pushed out Eric Staal as well, who got regifted to the Sabres, as I had mentioned above. They're sort of they're doing it right. They're pushing out older guys, bringing in younger talent. Hopefully that old Minnesota mentality is they're trying to get away from it, where you have to have everything under the sun from Minnesota or the Midwest United States, and just try and build a winning hockey team up there. And a state that would definitely support it if they were good. I think the biggest problem maybe with pro hockey in Minnesota over the years has just been is that the college teams have been so much better than the pro teams because the college teams bring these kids from local high schools into play. And the North Stars and the Wild tried to do it, and that's probably why they never went anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that sentiment. The Montreal Canadiens. Now, I honestly had a difficult time. So, Tom, I'm going to let you take this one. Where do you think they belong?
I think they're on the naughty list. I didn't like that trade for Max Domi. Alas, I have said that I think Domi kind of forced his way out. Plus, here we are, our history lesson for today. We are 25 years since Patrick Waugh walked up to Ronald Corey and said, "This is the last game I have ever played for your team." And that was the night the mystique of the Habs died. They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1993. As soon as they traded Patrick Waugh, I mean, they've had some good years here and there, but I don't know if I've ever considered them a Stanley Cup contender. And the only two championships that have been won in their new building have been the 1996 World Cup, won by Team USA, and the 2017 World Juniors, coincidentally also won by Team USA. This
is true, and I agree. Canada, specifically the Montreal Canadiens, you have a little bit of work to do this year to get off of Santa's naughty list. Hopefully you get there. The Nashville Predators, which, once again, just one of those weird purgatory floating areas. Just like, are they naughty list? Are they nice list? Are they naughty list? Are they nice list? Well, I mean, we can't really say anything bad about them. That, and they've got a shiny, brand new Yaroslav Askarov to ruin the career of. So, you know what? Nice list. Just, don't spend Yaroslav Askarov all in one place, all right? He's like that one gift card you get from your grandma. Don't spend it on something stupid. Tom, do you agree?
Agree. And I do like that they drafted him, and he still has a lot of time. He's not going to come right away to Nashville. Maybe another year or two. They gave him plenty of time to develop in Russia and get his bearings about him, and enough time so they can keep an eye on him over there and see what they're getting into with him. I like what they did. I'm going to put them on the nice list.
Yeah. Now, I know where my opinion lies on this one, but I figured it would also be nice to kind of not show any kind of bias or anything along those lines. I'm going to let Tom handle the New Jersey Devils, and I'll handle the Rangers. So, Tom, where do the Devils belong?
If it were a year ago, they would be the naughty list. But it's not a year ago anymore. They have they had a good draft, bringing in Holtz and Mercer and Mook Madul, and I'm probably screwing his name up. You still have Hughes. I'm not going to say Jack Hughes is a bust yet. I'm not. Jack Hughes is going to have a couple bad years for me to say he's a bust. It's not a bust yet. We'll see what happens with him. They're finally trying to rebuild it right in New Jersey. You got rid of Shearer. You have a new regime in there, a new coach. You have a GM in Tommy Fitzgerald, who is, who's new at the game. But sometimes that's the best thing to do is have a GM who's new at the game. They're rebuilding it right. I definitely put them on the nice list. Unfortunately, the nice list for them, their Christmas presents would be like my grandfather when he would get bananas for Christmas back in the days. A banana to him is what a Maserati was to a rich person now. You know what I'm saying? So they're the nice list. They're getting nice things, but their nice things may not be as nice as some other people's things.
Yeah, it's like what the Devils are getting right now. Like everybody's hyped for, and then if Colorado got it, Colorado would just be that one team. Like it's an avocado. Thanks.
Yeah, Colorado's got the Lexus with the bow on top of it in the commercial. And the Devils are
a Hyundai Sonata.
Apples and oranges under the trees.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, moving back to the naughty list. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Islanders, you're on the naughty list this year. You pissed Santa off. You want to know why you pissed Santa off? How is Matt Barzal still not signed? What are you guys doing? Realistically, what are you guys doing right now? Tom, I'm infuriated that I have to put the Islanders on my naughty list. They made the Eastern Conference Final, for God's sake. Talk me off a ledge here.
I can't do it. And you want to know why? And I know every Devil fan will hate me for this. Lamoriello's being stingy again, and I was watching Shameless, the last season of Shameless, and there was a scene where Mickey Milkovich talks about his father, Terry Milkovich, how he would say every Christmas the mother would buy all them nice gifts. He would take the stuff he liked and pawn off the rest. And I feel like Lou Lamoriello is the Terry Milkovich of GMs right now. Lamoriello will, take what he likes and get rid of the rest just because he doesn't like it or it's not his way. And I got a funny feeling he's playing hardball right now with Barzal. And if Barzal winds up with a bridge deal from Lamoriello, his days in Long Island are going to be over.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the naughty list this year, Islanders. You got ways to climb out at the moment. Now, Tom, I gave you the chance to justify for the Devils. I'm going to justify for the Rangers here, which I hate that I have to do this, but it's fine. It's fine because the Rangers are on the nice list this year, and you know what? It's fine. Devils fans out there, it's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Put your pitchforks down. Good. Put the pitchforks down. I'll tell you why. The Rangers did a really, really good job of rebuilding this team. They got a lot of help, though. They had probably one of the easiest rebuilds that any team ever could have been handed to. But there's no doubt that big, shiny present, that big, huge present, that Red Ryder BB gun this year for the New York Rangers, it's Alexis Lafreniere with a big, huge bow on his head. And Rangers fans, and I know Tom will, talk for days and days and days and days about it, how happy he is to have Alexis Lafreniere as a New York Ranger. And it's true. Rangers, you're on the nice list this year. Mm-hmm. Santa approves. Santa approves. Moving on to Ottawa, sticking with the nice list, which for me, I got no problems with Ottawa right now. So many presents for Ottawa. It's happening. So what do you think, Tom?
Agree. You have Stützle coming in. You have Sanderson. You still have Brady Tkachuk there. Yeah, but it's like a nice setup. They have a nice thing going. I got to put them on the nice list. They have a nice future to look forward to.
They have a nice future to look forward to. They've got Matt Murray in between the pipes now, of quite the serviceable goalie in between the pipes. And, above all else, they've also got a potential Norris finalist in the upcoming years in Thomas Chabot. And the only way you're going to end up on Santa's naughty list is if Eugene Melnyk does anything else to jeopardize this franchise, which normally Ottawa is on the naughty list, specifically because of Eugene Melnyk. But not even Eugene Melnyk could have kept them from the naughty list this year. You guys are doing good. Good job. Now, as much as Tom and I hate on the Philadelphia Flyers, as much as we can both, just relish in the fact that, we have our disagreements, but we can both agree that we hate the Flyers. They're on the nice list this year. There's just, we couldn't find a way to put them on the naughty list. Alain Vigneault is having them play non-goon Philadelphia hockey. It's a different era in Philadelphia. Tom, expand.
Agreed 100%. These are not the Philadelphia Flyers of the 70s and the 90s that would just goon it up. These are kind of similar to like the Mike Keenan Flyers of the 80s, where they play a very, team first game. They play a system that works. Vigneault was still young in his tenure there, so they're responding to him. They had a great year last year, and they should, keyword should, build on that this year. The problem with the Flyers of the past has been it's been night and day every year with them. Vigneault, I will say, does bring stability to teams. When Vigneault is with a team, his first couple of years, you're a stable playoff team. And until I'm proved otherwise, I see that happening again. But we shall see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, here are going to be 3 quick hits on the naughty list. Pittsburgh, naughty list. San Jose, naughty list. St. Louis, naughty list. Now, for Pittsburgh, you're on the naughty list because Jim Rutherford is an absolute insane madman at this point. He needs to just stop being the GM. And Pittsburgh fans will agree with me on this one. And I know the Pittsburgh fans are pissed right now. And Santa's pissed too, hence why you're on the naughty list. San Jose, you're on the naughty list because you're stuck with albatross contracts and freaking Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson, and now you can't move them. And in St. Louis, you're on the naughty list because you let your captain walk, and Torrey Krug came in. It's like your mom buying Mega Blocks over Legos.
I wonder who came up with that.
Yeah, I wonder who came up with that one. Tom, thank you for that one. I appreciate that one. But which one is the most egregious out of all these 3, Tom?
I still, you know what? I have to go with Pittsburgh here. Unfortunately, I think that the time is going to be up for Jimmy Rutherford and Mike Sullivan right now. You know, they won 2 Stanley Cups in a row, and more power to them. But you know what, man, they bowed out in the playoffs the last 2 years, and I really think something should have been done with one or the other after they lost to Montreal in this bubble. You know, Crosby and Malkin are still there. They're still good players, but they're both a year older. You brought in Kapanen, and okay, maybe that'll help a little bit. But I do think that maybe it's time for a whole a whole change of scenery with the Pittsburgh management. You know, unfortunately, even if you do change the scenery now, you know, you have Malkin and Crosby now both 33 years old, and you know how many more years you're going to get out of them.
Yeah, and that's true. So, a couple more quick hits. Tampa Bay, I mean, it's to be expected. You're on the nice list. You won the Stanley Cup this year. That is your shiny, brand new present for this upcoming year. Santa approves, especially since you were on the naughty list last year for being the President Trophy winner, not only being the President Trophy winner, but being one of the most winningest teams of all time, and then just losing in 4 games to Columbus, which you almost did again this year. Santa doesn't forget that. But because you won the Stanley Cup, you're on the nice list. I got no problems with you. Toronto, you're on the nice list too because, well, you actually have a genuine good human being as your bench manager now in Sheldon Keefe. Tom, do you agree there?
Agree wholeheartedly. I've sang Sheldon Keefe's praises. With an all-Canadian division this year, it may be even more beneficial to them because they don't have to see the Bruins. You know, they don't have to see a lot of the other teams in the East. You know, they're kind of playing with the house money right now. So yeah, I definitely agree with that Toronto analogy.
Yeah,
or analysis rather.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, if Mike Babcock was still there and like with everything that happened, yeah, you would have been on the naughty list this year. But good on you, Toronto. You're good this year. You're getting presents. Vancouver, you're on the nice list. I got nothing bad to say about you guys right now. I mean, you've got a good core that you guys have built, and you know, if Podkolzin eventually comes over to the NHL and does well for you guys, even better for you guys. So you guys get to, you know, watch, you know, your Russian boy go potentially do well in the World Juniors tournament. Tom?
Yeah, you know, I was reading an article the other day. All eyes are really on Podkolzin to really break out in this tournament. And if he does, and now you have a team over there with Pedersen, with Brock Bozer, with Bull Horvat, you got Quinn Hughes, and now you're bringing him over. Watch out. Watch out. If he really tears this tournament up, like people are expecting him to do, now you're adding another weapon to Vancouver's already potent arsenal.
Yeah. Adding to our nice list, Vegas, we got nothing bad to say about you. I mean, now you did make Santa a little bit upset because, you know, you didn't go about getting rid of Nate Schmidt the right way. But that's okay. Because you got Alex Pietrangelo. That's really about it. That's why you're on Santa's nice list. Why am I turning Santa into like a mafia boss? I just realized that. I'm like slowly but surely like turning Santa into the Godfather. I don't know why. But Tom, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You know, this team has never had a captain in their history, and now they have Pietrangelo. You have a potential for them to have their first captain and maybe finally bring this thing full circle. We shall see.
Yeah. We're in the home stretch here. The Washington Capitals. Now, I was stuck here, to be quite honest. I was stuck because, like, I don't have a bad thing to say about the Washington Capitals. I also don't have a nice thing to say about the Washington Capitals. Tom, I'm going to let you take the Washington Capitals.
I'm putting them on the nice list. You know, they have a little more of a high-profile coach now in Peter Laviolette, who has won a Stanley Cup, who has been effective in where he's been. I mean, obviously, his flame burns out too. But, you know, with where this core is right now, I think that's exactly what they need. Laviolette's kind of a short-term coach, but this core is kind of on is a short-term core right now. They're kind of on their last little run here. So I'm putting them on the nice list, but I feel like, you know, they've been a team that's been there. They have their cup, but I feel like it's that kid in high school or college who still gets overly excited about Christmas and acts like he's 8 years old.
True. And last but certainly not least, we have the Winnipeg Jets. And once again, I mean, Tom, I'm going to let you take this one because you kind of put it perfectly here.
Well, they kind of have that cousin Eddie syndrome too, unfortunately, where they've done nothing wrong, They've done nothing wrong. They had a good draft. They still have a good core of players, but they got stuck in a bad situation. Instead of getting the deposit for that pool, they got the jelly at a month club. You know, they got stuck in that Canadian division where you have Toronto, Vancouver, and Edmonton, who I all consider better than them. And now they're going to be in a neck-and-neck fight with Calgary and maybe even Montreal for that last playoff spot. It's just I don't have a bad thing to say about them, but now they're just in a bad situation through no fault of their own.
Yeah, and it's specifically because they did nothing to try to improve this team. They did nothing to try to resolve the situation with Patrick Laine. They have done nothing to try to actively improve this team, except for lose Dmitry Kulikov. So, and that's not even that good. So, yeah, Winnipeg, you're on the naughty list. Now, our nice and naughty list is filled out, but what do you guys think? What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be saving this tier list, and I'm going to be posting it on Twitter. So if you agree or disagree, doesn't matter, because you can make your own tier list at I80_SportsNHL. I'll be posting that within the next 24 hours for all of you guys to have fun with. Post your results, and we could have a lot of fun with this. But to stop sharing this real quick, what do you guys think? Do you agree with our choices? Do you agree with our picks? Please make sure that you follow us week to week to week. Every Monday night, we are here to give you NHL, World Juniors, and just overall general USA hockey content, so that way we can keep you guys up to date. But before we sign off, I did want to just mention real quick and just say, like I said on Thanksgiving, thank you guys who have been, following our page ever since our inception in August. And thank you. I'm eternally thankful for, Bob, for dragging both Tom and I into this mess. And we've had a blast doing this with you guys. And, we have so much planned for this upcoming year, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Make sure that you stick with us. Tom, any last words from you?
Just want everyone to have a nice holiday with whatever you celebrate: Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Boxing Day. And no matter what you celebrate, we're all getting a nice present on Friday. We have World Junior Hockey on Christmas night. First time in my life there's ever been a hockey game on Christmas. Well, let me rephrase that. No, there's been World Juniors that have opened on Christmas. But back in the day when you either needed a satellite dish the size of the Empire State Building, or you had to stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it. But now we have a United States, a Team USA versus Team Russia World Junior game Christmas night, NHL Network. Hope everybody tunes in. It should be good.
Should be awesome. So make sure that you follow us on our website, i80sports.com. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at i80sports_sportsNHL. I've been Brian. He's been Tom. This has been I80 Sports NHL.